Along with the fuel pump replacement, there are additional items to ensure correct repair. Let me go through a list of recommended items to ensure a quality job is performed. One of the things you want to make sure you check is the fuel pressure regulator. Fuel pressure regulator regulates our pressure in the system. One of the problems that they can have is that if it has a vacuum port to it, we could leak fuel out this vacuum port, so we should check that to ensure the regulator is in proper operation. The injectors themselves are what delivers the fuel to the engine. One of the ways to make sure we have good drivability after fuel pump is replaced is to clean the injectors to make sure there's no contaminants on the pintle of the injector. Proper voltage to the fuel pump is obviously important to ensure successful repair. If your fuel pump does not have a harness, check to see if a replacement one is available. This will ensure we have good electrical integrity to the fuel pump and a good repair. On top of the tank, we have a tank seal. The purpose of the seal is obviously to keep liquid fuel in, but also to keep our tank sealed so that when the OBD2 system does an evap test, we don't turn on the check engine light. So a tank seal replacement can help this vehicle from coming back. Of course, mandatory in a fuel pump replacement would be the filter. A clogged filter will increase pump effort and increase electrical amperage, causing premature failure or premature wear of the new pump. So it's very important that we change the fuel filter whenever we do a fuel pump replacement. The fuel pump strainer itself is the first line of defense for the replacement fuel pump. It prevents dirt and particles from entering the pump and causing premature wear. Remember, contamination is the #1 reason for premature fuel pump failure. Along with that tank O-ring, sometimes what we'll find is that the lock ring gets corroded. And when it's corroded, it sometimes prevents us from making a good seal. And again, that good seal is going to ensure not only don't we have liquid fuel coming out, but we're going to also prevent the check engine light from coming on. Sometimes, depending on the testing that was done prior to the fuel pump replacement, the electrical harness itself may be damaged or it may have holes from testing in the wiring. So there are electrical harness connectors available to make sure that we have a good electrical connection at the pump, and obviously, again, making sure the pump runs at the proper speed in order to provide good performance. Along with that connector, there are electrical components such as relays, switches, and fuses that can cause electrical resistance. This electrical resistance can cause the pump to turn at a slower speed due to voltage drop. And obviously, if the pump is spinning at a slower speed, we won't deliver the proper pressure or the proper volume. So it is very important that we check the entire system's electrical integrity from the relay all the way to the pump. Of course, we have hoses and lines. These hoses and lines are made of steel, plastic, and rubber. With age, all of these components degrade and can cause leaks or internal restrictions. So it's important that we do a visual inspection of all the steel, plastic, and rubber components on the car. When we have the tank out to change the fuel pump, often we have to inspect the tank not only for internal corrosion, but also for some parts on the outside. So it's important that we do a thorough internal inspection of the tank to make sure the new pump will run in a clean environment, as well as checking, for example, the tank straps. The tank straps hold the tank in place under the vehicle. Corrosion can weaken those straps, preventing the tank from having a proper hold down. There's also going to be rubber isolators located between the tank and the vehicle's floor. These isolators are used to prevent noise transmission and unwanted sounds from running the pump. So one of the things we want to make sure that those isolators are in good shape. The filler neck itself is a major cause of tank contamination. A perforated filler neck can cause contamination and corrosion, and this can cause the check engine light to be displayed primarily because of a vapor system leak. Hard to do the fuel filler neck without talking about the fuel cap itself. A missing or defective gas cap can cause the fuel tank contamination as well as high levels of hydrocarbons to be released in the atmosphere. So a gas cap is something that needs to be checked on every fuel pump replacement. One of the ways that we ensure there is no moisture in the tank is to use a fuel system dryer or isoheat or dry gas chemical in order to make sure that we do not have water contamination in the fuel system. So this is a great additional step to make sure that that component is protected from a lot of moisture. And of course, finally, we will need specialty tools. We're going to need tools in order to check the pressure, to check the volume, and of course check the electrical integrity of the entire fuel pump circuit. So specialty tools are in order and obviously ensure proper diagnostics and repairs. So these are some other recommended items that we need to do after a fuel pump replacement to ensure the car doesn't come back with any drivability issues.